Hello there, Ray here, and today we will be looking at some new 1.17 AFK farms. First, we'll be looking at the big drip leaf farm, and then we'll be looking at the hanging roots. Now, there has been some recent changes to both drip leaf and the hanging root. Some of my previous farms that I've designed for these now be updated to work once again. And it would mean the world to me if you guys would subscribe, as I've designed thousands of unique farms and machines over my 12 years of playing Minecraft. I'd like to share all the different tricks and tips I learned to you guys throughout my years. To get the first big drip leaf, you'll need to first find a watering trader that sells small drip leaf. Then from there you can plant it onto moss block or clay. When you bone mill it, it's going to turn into a big one. Then by breaking any of the blocks, it's going to drop more big drip leaf. And these blocks are useful. If anything stands on them, it will slowly drop them off and then reset. Kind of like a trapdoor, but it's automatic. And there's a lot of cool things you can do with them using this, which I showed in these two videos linked below. So now that you got yourselves a big drip leaf, you're ready to put it into this amazing farm to get a whole bunch of them. Let's go ahead and give it a try. You just turn on this lever here, and it's going to turn on this really fast clock. Close the door behind you, and just aim at the back and hold down right click. What the farm does, as soon as you plant them down, it's going to grow them to a bigger size, which then breaks them off. This will turn your one drip leaf into a whole bunch of them. And you can go AFK while leaving your right click button held down. And you can have the player automatically hold down this button for you by pressing F3 plus T. And then when this comes up, release your button that you're holding down. And now your player will automatically do it on its own. Then you can press like Alt Tab to switch to a different window and work on other stuff. All the loot off the farm can be found in this chest down below, and the on and off switches up here. The way that the farm works is that we have this piston moving this observer, making a clock right here. This clock is powering the piston and this dispenser, which is full of bone meal. So when the player AFKs here, he's going to place in a drip leaf here, and then he's going to right click again and place another one here. They're both in front of the dispenser. We're going to bone meal them, which is going to make them grow upwards and grow like that. And then the pistons are going to come in and break off the top. And then when the top breaks off, it's going to drop two items. You just turn one into two of them. And then the process repeats itself by you placing in some more. So the farm does take bone meal, which you put in this chest over here. You can make this infinitely automatic, meaning that once you turn it on, it will produce the drip leaf forever. You can do this by hooking this up to compost farms, mob fish farms, or like my fungus wood farm and my moss block farm, both of which produce excess of bone meal, which you can funnel into this farm. I'll have all those linked below. The simpler design here produces around 8,500 drip leaf per hour. So this farm is pretty simple. I'll kind of slowly go around it so you can see how to build it up. Hopefully you can see everything from here. This one I designed for just players AFKing holding down right click, but I also designed one for people that want to use like a macro or the fast clicking method, which I showed you guys a while ago, using your keyboard. So in this one, the player uses the maximum distance which he can reach, which is 5 blocks, place in a whole row of them before they get broken off. Very similar to the one above, we also have a very fast clock, which is spamming bone meal and pistons. But where we aim is a little bit different. Let's go ahead and hop into survival. I got the new spyglass to help us aim at the very precise location, as this will slow down your screen and your cursor. But what you want to do is aim on the right hand side of this glass block, and from here you can place in a drip leaf. And if you spam, you can actually place this entire row of 5 drip leaves all at once, and they all get bone mealed, and then they all grow and produce twice as many, and they all get broken off, so it produces a lot more drip leaf per hour than the previous farm. And all the loot will end up in this chest down here. Both farms also have protection for phantoms by having an opaque block above the player, and also by keeping the player secure with a door. Now you can run this fast one also while being AFK. And using the same F3 plus T trick, but you can also use the trick that I showed, where if you switch your controls, so your right click, you change it to a button on your keyboard, it will now put off a whole bunch of signals every time you hold it down. So if we turn on the farm and we get pointed in the correct location, now if we just hold down that button that we set our right click button for, it's going to start spamming a whole bunch of right click actions, which is going to place in blocks extremely fast. They can actually use up all of your drip leaf. I recommend having a stack in your offhand as well as your main hand. Now the F3 T trick won't work when you rebind your mouse keys. You'll need to have a weight held down on that key in order for it to spam click. Using the fast clicking trick, this one produces around 47,500 items per hour. So it does need quite a few hoppers in order to pick them all up. So this design is a little bit more complicated to build, but you should be able to kind of see everything from here if you pause the video. There is a dropper pointing into a dispenser. The bone mill is here in the back with some redstone power the entire system. For the most part, it's all pretty easy to see what's going on. The next two farms we're going to take a look at are for the hanging roots. There's a few ways you can get the hanging root item. One of them is by getting a moss block from a wandering trader, bone milling it until you get an azalea, then bone milling that until you get a tree out of it, which will convert the moss into a rooted dirt. Then the rooted dirt can be bone milled to produce a hanging root. Alternatively, you can purchase a rooted dirt directly from these guys. Then using shears on these blocks will give you your item. The main use for this block is for decoration. Now I have previously made a video on my hanging root farm, but they changed it so now you're able to break these blocks off instantly instead of taking a while. That means I can make these farms much faster than previously. So the first farm here is a standalone farm. You just turn it on and you stand inside of it. And then you hold down the left mouse button while holding shears and it will instantly remove the hanging root and drop it as an item, which will be picked up by the hoppers underneath and will be put into the chest down below. The way it works is pretty simple. We have the rooted dirt block right here, and we can automatically bone mill this by having a dispenser point directly inside of it. That's going to bone mill it, which is going to automatically put in the hanging root block below it. We have a whole row of these that are being powered by this observer clock over here that has an on and off switch. And all the dispensers being fed bone milled by the chest behind them. All the items that fall in are just going directly into a bunch of hoppers, which are going directly into chest. Now, in order to get the most out of this farm, you do probably want to use a fast clicker, and you want to stand a little bit inside of it so you can reach all the way back to the very farthest block. And then you just hold down the left mouse button. Now you can do automatic holding down with F3 plus T, and then release up on the mouse button. Now your guy will automatically remove them. At max speed, this farm produces around 66,000 hanging root per hour, which is pretty insane for such a small setup. That also means it's going to take 66,000 bone mill. You'll need a decent bone mill farm or even a bone farm, like my skeleton farm or my wither skeleton farm. Now because this farm does need a tool, durability is used up, and shears don't have a lot of durability to start with, only 238, even with unbreaking. They don't even last 1 minute. So I made another farm that uses a XP source to automatically repair ones that have the mending on them. Having efficiency 5 as enchantment doesn't really help, as the roots are instant break. This is the exact same farm that I have over there, but I just hooked it up to a pigman portal farm. If we hop inside of this and turn it on, first thing we want to do is aggro the pigmen. We want to hit them with a snowball. Now they're mad, they'll automatically try to attack the player and end up dying, giving XPs, and you'll see that they're going to start repairing my shears. Now the durability is going up. It doesn't take a lot before it heals them completely. And then you can go inside this farm and hold down your left mouse button, and you can be harvesting these as the pigmen are dying. They're going to constantly be healing your shears as you're using durability up. So with this setup here, it can be infinitely automatic, meaning that once you start it, it can go on forever without any new input. But you have to have a bone mill source automatically filling up these dispensers. The pigman portal farm works like the one in my snowball farm, and in my other farms where we have a bunch of nether portals and the pigmen spawn inside of these. Then we have two pigmen very far out, which are name tags so they can't despawn. And they have to be this precise distance between the player and this location so that they can see the player to get mad at him, but they aren't within range. Therefore, they will constantly tell the other pigmen around to get mad at the player instead, and they're going to try to get to the player. So the closest way to do that is by going this direction, and then they think they can walk through these trapdoors, but they're instead are going to walk down into where these mine carts are down here. And there is 24 of them, so anything that falls in there is going to start taking max cramming. And then when they die, they're going to be considered still mad at the player, and therefore they're going to drop XPs. And the XP is going to come out of this little hole right here, and it's going to move towards the player and end up right here. The player is just standing right on top of this trapdoor, so close enough so that it can be absorbed by the player. So if I stand here, we'll pick up the XPs. So this allows you to do long AFK sessions without having to constantly give yourself more shears. Now because the pigmen also die, you end up getting their loot down here. Now because these dispensers dispense more bone meal than they can take in from a single hopper, you will need to put in 2 hoppers per dispenser if you want to go for the maximum speed that this can provide. And most likely a setup like that will work fine for most people, but this is for anybody who wants to take farming to the next level. So the setup for this farm is pretty simple. You can kind of see everything as a circle around it. If you'd like to build up any of these 4 farms or any other 1.17 farms that I've designed, have them all in this world, and you can find the world download link below. And there's almost 30 new types of farms in 1.17. If you want to learn all about them, check out my Simple Farms and Machines playlist, which goes over all of them. I hope you guys enjoyed this video covering these simple 1.17 farms, and if you found this video useful, make sure to leave a like as well as share it with other Minecrafters so they can learn about the large amount of automation that is in the game. I would like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!